It's a little more discuss worthy. Hey, by the way, we went ahead and published Taylor's presentation. I had to do some editing, but I went ahead and published it. So Taylor's video is out there. I can share the link. Copy clean link.
Yeah, I'm glad that you cut it and uploaded it, and I like the thumbnail.
Yeah, I thought, it's a girl. Let's put a little girly, make it kind of. Actually, it wasn't even girly. It was it matched the colors of the diatoms under the lens. Like that's an actual. Like I don't think they're actually that color, but the filter that they used on the image, I just used colors that were already there, so it worked out pretty good. So yeah, help spread that around if you'd like. She worked really hard on that presentation, and it was a very long one, so good for her. Let's see here.
I actually agree.
So
naturalism is not enough to explain the origin of life.
I noticed a couple of the hecklers in there, like Welsh and J. Ace. They Charlie Welch, they were laughing at the presentation. And I thought, wow. I mean, did they even watch it? Just kind of curious. Because I do think there's enough confounding variables in the video to cause one to question whether or not these things came about upon themselves. I'd say that's a fair statement there.
Well, I didn't listen, but I think the argument is the argument itself. So these atheists should at least know about it.
You didn't listen? Okay. All right. Well, if that's just your opinion, it'd be cool if you watched the video, or at least skip through it and look at all the slides and stuff. It's got a lot of dense information.
I did skip through very fast and look at the slides. I did.
Okay.
But I want to show my encouragement, even though I didn't watch it.
Okay. All right. There's a video here called "The Theory of Everything." What do you guys think about that? You think that's a good one to start with? Or did you have something else in mind? But I'm hoping you guys can participate and not just fall asleep.
I'm on and off making music, but I
okay.
I will listen on and off as well.
All right.
We do the theory of.
I think I've actually watched
class today.
Yeah, they're very popular. I'm sure you've probably seen all of them. That's my guess, anyway. But I mean, I'll get it started. If it's a little boring or it's nothing enticing, then we can turn it off. No big deal. But yeah, if you got any questions, comments, feel free to step in. I can pause it.
Today we do the theory of everything. So very quickly, I will explain to you what science tells us about where we came from, who we are, and where we're going. So, as you may know, it all started with a Big Bang. Okay? The Big Bang. So, in the beginning, there was a massive ball of energy, and then it exploded. Okay? And because of this explosion, it would create stars and planets and black holes and solar systems. And that's how the universe was created, through the Big Bang. then we had the Earth, and on Earth, life evolved, starting with plants and sea life, and then we had lizards, mammals, and then we got to humans. Okay, so
Dude, I would love to get this guy in here and present to him like the young Earth or like the flat Earth or just like all these other alternative ideas. You know what I mean? Wouldn't that be amazing to get this dude in here?
Yeah.
That would be phenomenal.
You see
Maybe
where
I
he's
should
saying that
try to do that.
this is the theory of everything, and then he says the Big Bang. You can hear him sort of disappointed with himself or with humanity that this is their main theory of everything.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not good enough.
But it's
evolution.
a model, and the kids need to learn.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing is that like even though it's wrong, nowadays you realize that you can't it's not good enough just to learn one theory. Like when you're going through school, you're thinking to yourself, okay, I want to pass this test. I want to get through school. I want to get out of here, right? Like the whole time you're in school, you're thinking, I need to leave. Like, isn't that funny? Now, you want to learn the stuff to pass the test, but the reality of the scenario is you want to learn as much as possible. You want to learn what the wrong theory is and what the right theories are, or just all the theories, right? And not for some test, but to know like to have like a good idea of like what's out there. And I think that's where school kind of does people wrong is that it teaches people one idea of the world, and it doesn't really stray away from that.
I would also frame it as a lot of rich people and elites and normal people that get on in life believe this. So it's worth knowing it because of that, especially if we're
Right.
studying the elite.
Right. Well, I don't know if they even believe it, but I think perhaps like a majority of them have been brainwashed to also believe it, so that overall it's just more believable. And that's the crazy nature about it is there's probably some dark lord that's above even the kings and queens of this era, you know.
I'll say this last thing. The reason I wanted to learn about Christianity is because a lot of people are tied up in this belief system, this model. So it's just the same as the cosmology.
I kind of had the same fascination. I struggle with the whole Jesus figure guy. I can't think of like literally one good reason why why I would need the Jesus guy. But like the morals and knowing that there's a God and all that, that's great. So I don't know. I also like to study the Bible for just the purpose of study, really.
I think he actually teaches that in this one.
Oh, really? Well, let's go.
The thing about evolution that's very important to understand is that it's all about mutation. So the genes will randomly mutate, and then those genes that are best adapted to the environment will survive. Okay? And this is the idea of the survival of the fittest, introduced to us by Charles Darwin. Okay? And that's how we came to dominate the planet, because we are the fittest, because we're able to work together, because we had language, which allows us to store knowledge and pass it on to future generations to accumulate new technology. Okay? So that's the theory of evolution. Neuroscience teaches us that our brains, our brains do is we filter experiences into memories. Now, you will know that there's long-term memory and short-term memory.
Hold on a
Short-term
second.
memory is just what you have today.
What happened?
Long-term memory is what stays.
Is everyone here? I got disconnected twice.
Yeah, 3 times. Yeah.
Yeah,
What's
I think I
going
got
on?
kicked twice.
Yeah, I got kicked twice. All right. Well, you can all see it, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
In you, okay?
Weird.
So what the brain does is that it differentiates between short-term and long-term. And then this long-term is stored into a database of memories. And it's divided according to your emotions, okay? Happy, sad, angry, scared, okay? So there's a rainbow of emotions, and all your memories are stored according to the different emotions inside your brain, the database of your brain. And from this, you're able to create an identity. Identity is basically an understanding of who you are, your place in the world, and how you should best navigate the world. Okay? So the idea of identity. Now, what you also learn in psychology is it is possible for you to create many different identities. So in a school, you're a student. At home, you're a child. At work, you're an employee, okay? And all these identities put together is called a worldview. And you can understand this as your personality.
Worldwide debates.
Okay? All right, so this is all that science knows. I mean, this is pretty simple, but this is what science tells us about where we came from, who we are, where we're going. Now, there are 3 distinct characteristics about the scientific worldview that's very important for us to understand, okay? The first is that this is all random. Okay? This is really important because before we understood this as design, okay? Before we believed that there was a God, now we believe there's no God, all this is just random. That's the first thing I need you guys to remember. Second thing I need you guys to remember is that it's all material. Before we understood the universe as spirit, mainly spirit, but now we understood it as mainly material. Things that we can see and touch. If we cannot see it, if we cannot touch it, if we cannot measure it, it does not exist. The third characteristic is that it is emergent. Emergent, which just basically means bottom up. You have like these particles, they become atoms, then the atoms become matter, then become stuff, and then we become chairs or people, okay? This is all emergent. And so these are the 3 major principles of our worldview today. And you should have learned most of this in science class. Okay? Now, there's a problem with all these theories. All right, so I'm going to go over them one by one. And I want to make sure you follow along, okay? Because what I will do now is I will show you the problems, the deficiencies, the flaws in all these theories. Okay, so let's start with the Big Bang. Now, if it is true that the universe started off with a Big Bang and it just expands slowly, then it should expand linearly, okay? But what we see is this. First of all, the universe, it expands weirdly, okay? It's more like this. So as it expands, different parts move faster than other parts. That makes no sense. Also, certain galaxies, okay, galaxies, move faster than other galaxies. This makes no sense either. So the way that astronomers have explained away these statistical problems is to introduce a new concept called dark energy. And dark energy is most of the universe. It's like at least 80%. Some scientists believe it is 90%. So most of the universe is composed of dark energy. And of course, you're like, what is dark energy? And the answer is, we don't know. Now, dark energy sounds like we don't see it. That's not what it is.
Right.
It's we don't know what it is. And quite honestly, it's cheating, okay? So let me give you an example. Let's just say you take a math test, and the teacher asks you 1987 plus 25, and your answer is
Is it like dark?
20.
Is it dark matter? Like just like talking about an effect, right? Of what's happened, the expansion of the universe. But they don't know what's that effect.
Yeah, real simple. So like they okay. So the main force in outer space, well, I guess
The expansion.
Look, they attribute a lot of things to gravity in their current understanding. So when they see those effects, but they don't see the cause,
Oh, gotcha.
they're like, well, something's causing the gravity here when there's no reason for it.
So we call it dark matter.
So they call it dark matter and dark energy. Dark energy is like it's like the effect of gravity kind of, but then dark matter would be like the mass, dark mass, basically.
I like the way he said it. It's purely, I don't know. And what else he said? Cheating.
Well, it's cheating because it's like it's saying there's physical effects here, but there's nothing physical to attribute it to.
All right. Okay.
So it's kind of having it both ways.
That's obviously wrong, right? So your teacher says, this is wrong. And then you say, oh, I know how to fix this. Plus dark energy. Problem solved. Okay? This is like literally what cosmologists are doing with dark energy. We don't know what it is, but they say it must be there because otherwise we cannot explain
Anything.
these statistical inconsistencies in our measurements and modeling. And then of course you're like, well, why don't you just say that the Big Bang Theory is wrong? And they're like, well, we could say that. The problem is we don't have a better model. Well, in fact, there is a better model. The better model is there are different Big Bangs. Okay? So if you just assume that there are different Big Bangs, well, this helps us understand what's going on better. But then the question then is, wait a minute, if there are multiple Big Bangs, why are there multiple Big Bangs? Okay? So our current system of understanding the universe simply does not work. And the problem is that it's become a paradigm, a story that is accepted by most scientists, and they refuse to budge on this issue. Okay? But I'm telling you right now that this system is clearly problematic, and it could be wrong. Okay? So that's a problem with the Big Bang. Now let's move on to evolution.
So it's just the best educated guess.
Evolution. Now,
What does that tell you about the education?
in theory, evolution.
Well, then, yeah, you're
works
saying
for
that
most animals.
they're making it truth. Like whatever they're teaching, they're saying it's true, but it's really not. It's the best. Well, that's what he says. It's just a theory, and it's the best educated theory. Even the scientists still debate among themselves of a better model, which they don't give. They don't like. I think you were just talking about. They don't give an alternative model. Let's just say the Big Bang, and look, he just put another model. Different little Big Bangs. They don't teach that. I didn't heard that model. But lucky enough, I'm in Riggs's classroom.
Yeah, I mean, are there other models? I don't think I've ever heard like mainstream talk about any other models at all. I know that there are other models, but it's never been discussed openly. It's always been asserted. It's always been told that this is the latest theory, right? Like this is the new Coca-Cola.
Right. In your test, this is the answer, you know?
Mm-hmm. Precisely.
Except
Evolution.
when it comes
Let's
to
see.
human beings. Okay? Because the idea of evolution is gradual progress. But we don't know how we went from the ape, okay, to the human. We share with the ape, other monkeys, 99.9% of DNA. But we don't know why we're so different from the ape. Okay? That's the first problem. Second problem is humans have been around for about 200,000 years. Okay? That's a long, long time.
How did he figure that out?
Maybe.
Yeah. See, that's the thing. Like I'm curious what his position is and what he's just teaching. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he doesn't know. It's like a Gnostic Buddha sort of dude.
Yeah, because he's just pointing out the holes either way with the mainstream media.
Yeah, he's going to steel man it, and then he's going to say there's huge issues with this.
Yeah, that's great. That's the best way to teach a class. You need to go to China, guys. Apparently, freedom's a lot better over there. Freedom of thought.
50,000 years of history. So where did the other 100,000, 150,000 years go? We don't know. Okay? So this is also another huge problem with the theory of evolution. The third problem is, according to evolution, there should be many different types of human beings. But in fact, there's only one, Homo sapiens. Now, what scientists will tell you is, well, before there were different species, the Neanderthal, the Cro-Magnon, and then gradually Homo sapiens took them over. And you can believe that, but it's problematic because according to evolution, there should be many, many different types of humans, okay? Maybe some with 6 fingers, some with 3 eyes, like animals. Okay, so the lack of diversity in the human species, it doesn't really fit into the evolution model, okay? All right, so that's the problem with evolution. The real problem is with the human mind, okay? So let's go over some of the problems. All right, so.
Have you guys ever heard that? That like a problem with evolution is that there's not enough adaptions to really support the theory? Yeah, I've never heard of that.
Yeah, the missing link, but I like the way he persuaded. Like there is more than just one missing link. There's a lot of adaptation. The transition from this to another this, we don't have that. But we do that. We do the same thing with animals.
Well, no. Wait, did I just get disconnected again? Hello?
Yeah, I did. I did too. What was that again?
Well, I'll let you guys get back in. So the idea is that there's not enough variations. So his argument there, or at least the argument or the situation with evolution, is that there are not enough variations of humans. They're all too similar. That if evolution were true, they would have diverged in all different types of animals and plants and everything. Should have more variations to them.
Yeah, like monkeys, right? There's loads of types of tree primate, humanoid little ones, but there's only one type of human.
Right. Right.
Or there were more earlier. They just all went extinct. Wonder why.
Oh,
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Why did they go extinct? How come this version of human is still around and the other ones all went extinct and only this kind is left?
Yeah, interesting, isn't it?
very interesting.
All right.
With
That's not
neuroscience, what they
proof of
teach you
some
is
creator,
that
though.
what the worldview does, that's very important, is
Oh.
that
He'll
it
get to
feels
that.
I'm just
Thank
going to
you.
say that
The
no one
next
here
lecture.
said creator, and that was your
Assertion.
That's where you're going.
reflexive,
That's where you're going.
reflexive
I know where
admission.
I know where you're going. These arguments always go the same.
Oh,
way.
I don't have to go anywhere. I just have to look at the facts.
You wouldn't know.
This
Well,
is
you
not
and
an argument. This is a teaching.
This is
Just-
a lecture,
a
brother.
lecture. Hey,
It's
what's
a
your
lecture.
expertise in evolution and human physiology?
Are you talking to me or the guy in the video?
Yeah. Oh, you for one. Who's the guy in the video?
Dude, I'm not a professor. I didn't go to
Okay.
Yale. This guy did.
Oh, who's this guy?
Okay, thank you.
Well,
filters memories. Okay, the reason why is every day you're absorbing a lot of experiences. If your brain were to absorb all the experiences,
This
your
is
brain would
NASA.
explode.
This is a high school lesson.
Process.
So far, we've
Therefore,
learned
your
there's a huge problem
worldview
with cosmology and a
processes
huge
different-
problem with
Hold on.
evolution.
You don't hear it playing?
I
So
forgot
there's
to
a huge
tell him when I
problem
got
with
kicked.
cosmology? You mean we don't understand? We
One
found a problem,
second.
so we
I'll
don't
be right
understand.
back.
I don't know if this is a huge problem. I mean, huge problem to you guys means I don't understand it, therefore it's a problem.
No, this is a teaching from a professor to high school students. That's what he's teaching them.
Where's
That's
the
what we've
original?
learned so far.
which is, if you see, there's the little title there. You can get the title, put it on YouTube, and I don't know, summarize it.
What's his name? I can't read. It's very small. You guys know his name?
Yes, Professor Jiang.
I'm back.
Right.
All right, we learn anything new?
You have to
Oh,
catch
he
up
didn't
on.
last long.
All right.
Hey, Sophia, are you there? Good morning.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing okay. I want to say that I acted impulsively the other day. I woke up really pissed off and I banned a bunch of people. So I sent an invite over to Nazi. So I don't know
Okay,
if that
I'll
means
tell him.
anything. Yeah, I'm sure he knows.
I'll tell him.
All right. Anyways,
It'll
let me
only
get
be
back
in
to
a
it.
while. I'm only gonna see him in a while, but yeah, I'll tell him.
No worries. No worries. Yeah, I just undid all that stuff and I sent out some invites, I guess, but just you could let him know. Anyways, I'll get back to the video.
different
No problem.
experiences. It differentiates between experiences that are important and experiences that are not important. And experiences that are important, of course, goes into your long-term memory. The problem with this is, how about babies? In theory, babies should not have a worldview. They should not have a personality. But if that's the case,
Just
then
black
how do
for
they
me.
process
Like,
memories? How do they know what memories to store, what memories not to store?
Can't see it, Don.
Okay? The other thing is that I have 3 kids.
no, I'll try leaving again.
Is it not working? Here, I can stop it and then start it again. Just don't touch anything. It should open right back up.
Oh, okay. I was about to touch something.
Yeah, if you don't touch anything, it comes right back. They've set it up to auto join.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. All right, let me check the stream. Okay, I'm
You got
back.
it, Don?
Yeah, I think I'm back.
Cool. All right, let's rock.
And I can tell you that they're all distinct personalities. It seems as though they were born with a worldview. And then the question then is, where does this come from? Your eye color, your hair, your height comes from your parents' DNA, right? So is your personality from your parents' DNA? Probably not, okay? Just ask yourself, am I a composition of my parents' personalities? You're not. You're a different person than your parents.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a huge problem with this model. Where does the personality come from? And why is it embedded in us from the very first day? Okay?
That's Gnosticism, what he's just slipped
What's
in.
more problematic is
I'm going to need to learn more about Gnosticism. I know Sing Cleanser talks about it, and you've talked about it a few times, but I really don't know what it means. I have no idea what Gnosticism
That's when I
means.
keep saying it.
Gnosis means knowing.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a Greek word for knowledge.
So if you're a Gnostic, it just means you have knowledge, you know stuff. But
But I'm
there's
saying
a
it to mean esoteric Christian. So he's learned that the personality might be put into the body from the spirit world by this unknown force or the demiurge, he might believe.
Yeah, that's where you take it. Yeah.
Okay.
I just don't know if the demiurge could do that.
But that's what he's saying, that the baby already has a personality before it's already there. That's what
Yeah,
he's,
that's how I understand it too. But what is that? How does that? Is that the demiurge that does that?
He
well,
might not think.
well, that's what he's saying. Is it coming from our parents or personality? Like, do you see
Sorry,
video
I
like the,
missed a bit. I just jumped in now, so I missed a bit.
He's saying it's not just the breeding that creates the individual mind, soul, whatever. He's saying it gets ported in, and he just sort of slipped that in to his high school lecture.
yeah,
I think he's kind of like going through his personal deductions. Like,
yes,
well, I've learned this, but then I learned this. I learned this, but then I learned this.
Yeah,
Who is he?
Go ahead. He's Professor Jiang. He teaches high school.
I think he's
in
a
China.
Chinese guy that basically taught himself the occult, the whole world, so sociology and religion.
but he still calls it a theory, and he's poking holes on it. So it makes you think you could of other theories as well, not just to take whatever the theory of the mainstream as true. It's just a theory. And here's another theory about what is it? Personalities, ourselves, our memory. And I think he's going to start poking holes of how our personality comes about.
how we think. Consciousness. We do not have currently a model for how we think. In fact, if you study neuroscience, you will find there are a lot of gaping holes in our understanding of the brain. For example, we do not know where the brain stores memory.
Wow, that's a big problem.
Because the memory is a building block of everything. But we don't know
Or
in
if
the
it
brain
does store
where it is
memory.
stored.
Well,
Yeah,
that's
we don't even
dude.
know
That's
what that is.
okay. I didn't know they didn't know this. If they don't know where memory's stored, then how does anything operate?
Dude, they
We
don't
know-
know anything. They
We
just
know there's a
pretend to know
brain.
stuff.
And that's all we know, really.
Well, that's what it's saying, because when you eat something, it fires all these little electricity in your brain, but they don't know, are they retrieving memory, or is it a pattern that you recognize that it's a memory, but it's not even a memory. It's just a recall of a. Yeah, they don't even know if it's a memory or not. What is it? What is the brain doing to recall the memory? Like when you eat a pasta and by you eating the pasta, it reminds you of your mom that made pasta, right? But what triggers that? That's but they don't
I would
know.
say it's
Good.
the hard problem of consciousness. So he's saying science cannot yet explain what the hell a mind is.
Yeah. I think the brain's an antenna. I think it connects to the Akashic mind or the God mind or something. Like it's I think the brain connects to somewhere else.
But
It's a big antenna.
I like that idea. Yes, I like that idea. But does it? But are you saying like there's like a little cloud about you, about your memories, and then that cloud is connected to the bigger cloud, or like God? Because still, you're still recalling. You're not recalling. I'm not recalling Riggs' memories. I'm only recalling my
Yeah,
memories.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I don't know exactly how it works, but I think like whatever it is, we're connecting through it from somewhere else. Like, like when you're on a website and it says you have 256 encryption or something like that. I think maybe our brain is the encryption code for the transmission for your personality, your signal, maybe. So it needs. Yeah, I don't know. That's just an idea.
That's what he's saying. They don't know. So your theory is still, whatever it is, because I have other theories as well, like because he just
Because
the one
it's not just a signal, right? It's not just a signal, because then it would be
right.
like, we could tap into it, be like radio or something. It's got to be like encrypted or like spread out, or it has
Right,
to be something that's not totally obvious.
right. Because the one he got me right now is the baby. So the baby's already has a personality. It's like, oh, whoa, I did not
Right,
know that.
right.
I thought you gather personality by while you're growing up. But he says
Well,
no.
I mean, it builds over time, but I mean, the parents can notice the personality is the same since the beginning, you know?
Well, it's kind of odd that you mentioned that the brain is an antenna rig, because I came across a conspiracy a couple years ago that was claiming that your hair on your head
Right.
is an antenna.
I think so as well. Yeah.
Yeah,
That
well,
makes sense.
if you I kind of put that theory to the test, because in the wintertime I'll not shave my head or not shave my beard or anything. I'll just let it grow. I
Mhm.
call it my winter coat. But whenever it gets springtime, it starts to warm up, so I'll fucking shave my head and shave my beard off. And I've did that every year for the past fucking, I don't know, 5, 6, 7, 8 years that I can remember. And I don't know. It just seems like in the wintertime I gather more information and can retain the information better than what I can in the summertime. I don't know. It could be all psychological. I don't know.
Yeah, interesting.
You're-
Well,
Well,
is
you-
like
it that Samson's power came from his hair?
yeah, but it still goes back to I don't know.
There's a reason the military cut men's hair to weaken them.
to weaken them.
Solomon, I think the guy who was really strong or something in the Bible, and then a woman got close to him to cut his hair, and he lost all his strength. Talk
Samson.
about
Yeah, that's Samson. And that's actually kind of what I based my little, if you call it an experiment, you can. That's what I pretty much based my experiment off of, is the Samson and Delilah story.
yeah, that's what you had long hair too.
But yeah,
Yeah,
well, I mean, if you think about it, all these medieval movies that you see, you see people with long hair, long beard, and nowadays, you know, in order to get a good executive job, you need to be clean cut. Yeah, you need to cut all that shit off, bruh.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's just kind of weird how, you know, they've manipulated society just like wearing shoes. I think wearing shoes prevents you from getting the Earth's natural energy, you know, just
Right.
like walking barefoot. I mean, I know that's for a fact. I've practiced it many years now, in the summer and winter.
All right, so consciousness.
Excuse me? No, the hippocampus? No, it's not. We don't know where it's stored. There are certain things that we know where it's stored. For example, we know where maybe language is stored. We know where faces are stored, okay? So maybe the faces are stored in the hippocampus. But we don't know where memory is stored, okay? So what we say is the entire brain stores memories. But that's another saying we don't know where it's stored, all right? So the other thing is that our current model of the brain, it's like a city, okay? Think of the brain as a city. And what makes the brain work are the roads, or what we call the synapses. When they hit each other, it creates electricity. And that's where we think that how thought is generated, okay? But this is problematic because we think a lot, okay? So let me give you an example of this to clarify. Now, in science class, you're taught the scientific method. Okay, what's the scientific method? Well, you do research. You create a hypothesis from the research, and then you create an experiment to test out the hypothesis. And then you have data, and then you make observations, and then you refine the hypothesis, okay? And this is what we
What's up, Don?
believe a way to model the act of
Dude, you
thinking.
missed some good stuff.
And you're
This
taught
morning
this in
already?
class, even in
I know, bro.
English class,
You've been
right?
slacking.
You do research, then you create an outline,
Gotta go
right?
put the YouTube on.
Outline has a thesis.
Oh yeah, I had to start it. Dude, I don't know what happened. I woke up and it shut itself off in the middle of the night. Like it's never done that before. So I don't know what happened in the stream, but yeah.
So, what did I miss? Or what do y'all?
Threw me off for the day. Yeah, so this presentation, it's called The Theory of Everything, and so far it's a banger. Like he's just going in, he's digging in on the mainstream models. He's steel manning them, and then he's saying what's wrong with them and why they don't make sense. It's great.
Political stuff?
Dude,
Right
I wish
now-
I could go back and show you. It's like
Right now-
really good.
Right
If
now,
you
it's just
started the stream, like, I can go back on YouTube if you had that up for this.
Yeah, if you want to go back and listen to, I mean, if you want to, man, like it'd be nice if you could comment in on what's happening right now. But if you can't talk very much, yeah, go back on the stream and put it on at like a 1.5 or something. That way you can catch up.
Well, I'm watching with you now. I'll watch with you now. Is this a different guy?
No, it's the same dude. No, what are you saying? They all look the same, bro?
So his video format.
I posted the link, Don. So press Don.
All right, I'll keep it going. I'll keep it moving.
With 3 evidence, right? And then you write it out, write a draft, you edit it, and you repeat the process. Okay, this is what you're taught in school.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna say something that will shock you, okay? This is what you're taught in school. This is what you believe works. But as someone who is much older than you are, as someone who actually thinks for a living, who teaches for a living, who writes for a living, I'm gonna tell you, how you actually think it's the complete opposite. Okay? So what happens is you actually think or imagine the story or the idea to begin with,
Flow
okay?
state is where it happens.
And then you start working backwards to create the process. You're taught in school, it's a process that creates the idea. What I'm telling you is that in reality, it's the idea that creates the process. Okay? So let me give you an example of this. If you look at every major scientific discovery, it all came to the
law of
person
attraction.
in a dream or when he was, or it sort of popped into that person's head. Okay? It's just think of a light bulb popping up, okay? So an example is Albert Einstein.
Eureka stuff.
Einstein created his theory relatively not in a laboratory, not by doing research with other scientists, but simply by sitting in a patent office every day and just daydreaming. And
Smoking
then,
weed
boom,
or something.
the idea came to his head. He's like, okay, now I have this idea. Now what he's going to do is go back and look for the evidence to support his idea. Yes? Okay. Is a hypothesis the idea? Okay. No, the hypothesis is the assumption. Okay? What I'm trying to tell you is this. What I'm trying to tell you is the idea or the final product comes first. Then you go backwards. Okay? And you create the draft. Then you create the outline. Then you do the research. Okay? Now, I know this sounds weird, but let me give more examples. James Watson came up with the double helix model of DNA. How he did this was he spent years and years working to figure out how DNA worked. And then boom, one day he had a dream of a staircase, a double staircase. And he's like, maybe that's the model I need to use. And then he started to do more research and he discovered, hey, this works. Okay? But the question then is, how did that get into his head? Okay, let me give you another example. I write books, and I've written 3 novels. And you won't believe this, okay? But my wife is here, and like she knows how I work. You would think that when you write a book, you would spend every day at the desk and read books, take notes, and then transform it into a book, right? I don't do that. What I do is I lie in bed and I might play some video games or I might read a book, okay? I get up, I walk to the park, and I come back and I have all these ideas. And I write down all these ideas over 1 hour, 2 hours on the computer, okay? And then I'm exhausted. I've run out of ideas.
So there
And I'm
he's
like,
claiming
okay, tomorrow, what am I going to do if I have no ideas?
work
I
with the
can't write
muse.
anymore.
Just
What
the same thing Amon Hillman would have talked about.
The muse. What are you talking about?
It's sort of saying where I'm an artist, but it's not all me. It comes to me and I just do it.
Mm-hmm.
So blame it on something else, basically.
No, whatever the idea.
It can slip into that, I guess.
Like you're in the shower thinking about it, and then all of a sudden you get an idea, but you have to act on the idea, like write it down or whatever it is.
Like you'd get who Beyonce saying she's Sasha Fierce, so she turns into this other thing. It's not her. Some people say I channeled my album. And then you got
you're talking about the other one.
Oh, that's right.
Crowley says
Like
his book of the law
they're in
comes
the
from
zone.
Iwas.
And it just came to you.
So
Yeah, but they try to. I think in that one, in the music industry, they try to frame it that's the devil, but
the
instead of
muse
saying,
I don't
means
know.
like
Is it? I mean,
No,
do they make a contract? Do they actually like? I've heard some crazy stuff, bro, about the music industry. So, like, are they actually connecting to some entity or like making some kind of pact with it or something? I mean,
well,
well, he's saying
what he's
he
saying.
just goes to the park. I'm sorry, Lilo. He just
Yeah, go
goes
ahead.
to the park. It comes into him. He comes home, writes it down, and that's his book. So
Yeah.
he's saying it can happen like this.
Yeah. What's up, Terry? What's up, Left Lane? We're
Good morning.
discussing a video. Good morning.
Good evening.
Good evening.
So I
Good
just think
evening.
that's another esoteric Christian reference, and he's actually given a real life experience.
Yeah.
What happens is the next day I get up and I have new ideas. And I write it back and I write it down again, okay? So it's not like I am generating these ideas, it's more like I'm receiving these ideas. If you actually watch me work, it is almost impossible to think that I actually do any work because I'm always lying around or walking
True.
around or daydreaming, okay? My wife tells me that when I write or when I work, it's like I'm possessed. I'm possessed
There you
by
go.
something, okay? Meaning like I don't see anything and I really don't know what other people are doing because I don't care. I don't care because I'm focused on my work, okay? Also, I'll give you another example, the way I teach. Now, when you see me teach, you think, oh, you must have a script. You must have outlined the class. I don't do that. I have a conception, I have a framework in my head. I come to class and I teach. How do I teach? I watch your observations, I watch your facial expressions, and based on your responses, I then start to flesh out the framework. And how do I do that? Because I'm always accessing a higher force and I'm receiving this information that I can then articulate to you in class. And that's why if you have been with me for a long, long time, 10 years, you will know I've never taught the same class ever. You can go on YouTube and watch all my videos. I teach this class different each time. Because each time, what I'm doing is I'm channeling a higher force and bringing it to you. But it is a conversation, it's a dialogue. And it's no different from reading a book or seeing a great painting, okay? Each experience is unique because a painting or the book, it's almost like a platform for you to experience the divine or higher power. Okay? When you read a great book, that's literally what you feel. You feel as though you are in conversation with the universe. And this book is really a portal into the universe. Okay? If you read a great book, I'm not sure if you had read a great book. Okay? So
Kind of links what you're
if you
saying, Riggs.
want to really
Kind of links what you're saying that, you know, whatever memory is, it's linked to something outside. It's importing somewhere.
That was always, yeah, dude. I was like, as I got older and I started like learning more and more and more and more, I was like, there's no way that like the same brain that I have is doing all this, like doing that much more work. It's the same brain. You know what I mean? Like, it hasn't really changed its shape or size, but I'm somehow processing like, 10 times more information than I did a second ago. It doesn't make sense to me.
You're being possessed. That's why. That's what he said.
Well, if it's just like a reception, if it's like connected to something else, like an antenna or something, then that would make more sense because you could have like multiple stations on a TV and it's just got one antenna.
Oh, yeah. But how to change the channel, right? Channel your energy.
Right. Channeling is one way, right? Exactly. Right. And then, yeah, just stuff like that. So it's just a different concept.
Don't you just look at it like you had empty storage and now you have more stuff stored up so you can reference more stuff?
Yeah. I did that at first, and then I realized that I must have reached my capacity because, especially even in the last few months, like there's okay, we go through so many conversations in this room. There's literally no way that my brain could keep up with it. Yeah. There's no way my brain could keep up with it.
But
Like it's got to be something else that's facilitating. Because I know that I couldn't do it.
Because in the beginning of the video, or not the beginning of this video, but the beginning of when he was talking about memories, he was saying that even the neurosciences do not know where the memory gets hold. There is the theory that it's just electricity, like you're saying, hits parts of the brain or the whole of the brain to recall the memory. So yeah, that is that theory that, you know, you're holding a lot of memory and then somehow you fire these electricity in your brain to recall these ideas. But then he has this, but then he just saying that no, the idea comes from somewhere else. The whole concept of eureka, the light bulb. But he's saying that, you know, well, I don't know if this is a theory that's coming from somewhere else. Don't you feel sometimes like the idea comes from somewhere else instead of your brain, or you know, somewhere deep inside your brain?
Well, I've had ideas that definitely didn't feel like it came from me, but like came from like okay, like if I go to bed with a problem, I'll wake up sometimes with the solution. You know, like all I did was present all the problem, you know, all the components that made it a problem. I didn't know what the solution was. I woke up, let's say I had a dream or something that like educated me on what to do or what the right thing to do is or the solution to that problem. And it's like insightful. It's like extra information that I didn't have. But, you know, I'm sure everyone works differently, but that's what happened to me.
Really be creative. You have to trust your universe. If you really want to destroy your creativity, you follow this system. Okay? So what I'm telling you, and I know this is going to be weird, but school, it destroys your creativity because it teaches you a process that does not work. No scientist in the history of humanity has ever come up with a great idea using the scientific method. I guarantee you. They've all came up with a great idea through their imagination, through their intuition, by channeling the divine. Okay, that's every single scientist, including Einstein, Newton. Yes? Wait, sorry. Can you speak to the...
Okay, so I agree with what you're saying, but personally, I think scientific method is more like how these inspirational ideas are being presented to others.
Oh, yes. Yeah, good point. Exactly. That's exactly correct. Okay. So I use scientific method in order to convince other people that I'm correct. You're absolutely correct. Because if I told people, oh, I had a dream, well, like, it's not convincing. Okay. So the scientific method, it's a way for us to communicate and spread ideas. You're absolutely correct. Okay. But as I say, you will never, ever have a great discovery by following the scientific method. You have to have an inspiration. And then use the scientific method to explain your inspiration.
What's up, Don?
What is he saying? He's talking so fast. The what method?
A scientific method. He's basically saying that the scientific method is a trusted way of sharing information between other people. But I think what's unique about this perception is that in the West, we consider science to be the only correct thing. And a lot of people believe that science is the only correct thing. But he's positioning it here as if it appears to be the only accepted way to share ideas with other people, and distinctly that it's probably not the only way to have an idea or to be right. It's just a way of conveying it to others. So that's different. It's not a very West driven conclusion.
It makes a lot more sense now.
I guess the student is asking, but can we not tell the difference now using the scientific method, this non-religious way? And he's sort of saying, yes, we can try to use that.
But after you came up with the idea, because you try to communicate the idea that came from whatever, this place.
To other people. Okay? Yeah?
And another thing is that I think how people absorb ideas, or like how you wrote a book is based on your, at least some of the points are based on your experience. Because let's just say a person has born and he never, like, he has no knowledge and he has no experiencing on anything, and I don't see the possibility for him to just observe this energy out of nothing.
Okay, you're exactly correct. Yes. And I'll explain this as we move on, okay? All right. But I want to show you there's lots of issues with how the scientific method is taught in school, okay? So, but are you guys clear? All right, but that's a good point. Let me continue. All right, so let me continue. We have so much evidence that we communicate with a higher power all the time. All right, so let's go over some of the evidence. Okay, the first piece of evidence is near-death experiences, NDEs. Near-death experiences are when you almost die, okay, or you're dead for like 10 seconds or 10 minutes, who knows. But there are thousands, tens of thousands of these testimonies on YouTube, and they all say the same thing. When they die, they see a tunnel, and at the tunnel, there's a light that draws them. Okay, they go, and then suddenly they are high up, and they feel tremendous love, peace, forgiveness, compassion. It's all good. And then they submit to a life review. They have a chance to reflect on their entire life. They can see all the pain they caused. They can see all the good they've done in the world. And then they're asked by a higher force, and it's like God or an angel, but like there are different interpretations, okay? Do you want to go back? And they always say, yes, I need to go back. Why? Because I need to tell people about my experience. And they come back extremely changed people. And again, these are people who don't know each other. And maybe before they were atheists or just scientists. But once they have these experiences, it changes them forever, okay? So near-death experiences, we have problems explaining why this is the case. Second is the idea of psychedelics. Okay. Okay, psychedelics. So throughout human history, every culture has used psychedelics because psychedelics were a way for shamans or priests to access the divine. And what's really interesting is when you use a certain type of psychedelic, you end up seeing the same images regardless of who you are. Okay? And that's why civilizations throughout human history, what's amazing is if you go back to the ancient past and you look at different civilizations in different parts of the world, they have very similar statues and paintings, okay? So what's a very common motif is the idea of the cosmic serpent. For whatever reason, every early civilization has worshipped a serpent, or the serpent is a very important part of their culture. And it's possible that when there are psychedelics and they're meditating, they see a serpent talking to them. And they see that as the serpent of life, okay?
I've never heard of the
also,
serpent.
what's really interesting is the serpent, it looks like the DNA, right? Okay, so that's really, really interesting. Okay, meditation. When people meditate,
he just slips it in.
You go up to a higher dimension.
People did drugs and saw snakes, okay? And then he just moves on to the next one.
Okay, next. Meditation, next. Gnostic religion, next.
You end up having the same experience as psychedelics and near-death experiences. Also, great books. I myself have never done psychedelics, I obviously can't go back in the past and study these civilizations. I never had a near-death experiences, but I've read Dante, I've read Milton, I've read Homer, I've studied them very, very closely. And what's amazing to me is they say the same things. When Dante, in his Divine Comedy, when he describes the universe, when he describes God, when he describes the heavens, it's almost as though he's describing a near-death experience. Even though we have absolutely no evidence that Dante himself had a near-death experiences. Okay? So this is shocking. Okay, so there's a lot of evidence that there's a higher force beyond us. So the spirit world does exist. Again, I can't prove it exists, but there's a lot of evidence to suggest it does exist. Okay? So now the question then is, if our current model of reality doesn't really work, what is another possibility? Okay? And in this class, I'm not trying to tell you what is true, but I'm just trying to present to you new possibilities. So what I'm going to do now is I will present to you a new possibility of how reality is structured. Okay? All right. So to begin, let's talk about Kant. Immanuel Kant was the greatest philosopher who ever lived, the most influential philosopher who ever lived, because he introduced us the idea that we are not...
Wait, did he say Kant? Like Kant? I've never heard of Kant before.
observers of reality, we are participants in reality. All right? So let me explain what he means. For Kant, there's a noumena. The noumena just means reality that is outside of us, the things in themselves. What he tells us is we can never know the noumena. We can never know this reality. Why? Because whenever we see reality, we filter it using time and space. Okay? So time and space do not exist outside of us. They are parts of us. We use time and space in order to interpret reality in a way that allows us to make sense of it. Okay? So the noumena for time and space becomes the phenomena. And that's all we see, the phenomena, the things that are to me, not the noumena, the things in themselves. Okay? And so we imagine reality. We hallucinate reality. Okay, but of course, this creates three problems. Okay, the first problem is, what is the noumena? The second problem is, why do we have these filters, time and space? The third problem is, how can we guarantee that what I see is the same as what you see? Because if reality is a subjective experience, then in theory, everyone should see it differently. But we all see it the same, okay? So why is that? So these are the three problems. And so what happens is that Hegel comes along, okay? Hegel, another German philosopher, and he explains the idea of the Geist. So what he's saying is that the noumena, it's really the spirit world. It's the Geist. And when you do this, it solves all three problems, okay? The noumena you can never access because it's beyond us. It's the Geist that gives us time and space. And as a result, because it's all coming from one source, we see the world in the same way. Okay? All right. So this sounds complicated, but let me now use quantum mechanics to explain what this means, okay? Let's talk about quantum mechanics. Okay, so in science class, you're taught the Neal-Bohr model of the atom. Okay? It's a simple model. You have the nucleus, and then around the nucleus, you have these electrons that orbit the nucleus. Okay? You're taught this in physics class. If you are in a more advanced physics, you will taught that it's actually an electron cloud. Why? Because we never know for sure where electrons are. So we can only know the probability of where they are in orbit, okay? So it's called an electron cloud. And this is what you're taught in school. When you go to university, you will be taught this is completely and utterly wrong. Why? Because this assumes that these atoms are matter, they're solid. But in reality, if you go deep enough, you will find that they are actually just vibrations, what we call quantum fields.
That's
And they
hermetic.
are just vibrations.
What's up?
Just vibrations. That's hermetics. I think it's the third principle.
Yeah, it is. It is kind of a bait and switch, right? In order to explain mass, you have to tell everybody that it's not mass; it's empty space. I mean, that's kind of a contradiction, yeah.
Yeah, they thought atomism was true, and then they debunked it with quantum mechanics. That's their story, I think.
But if it's not like actual matter, though, then where is the gravity coming from? You know, if it's just empty space, and I think that's kind of. I mean, if anything, it
Yeah, you're-
debunks mass.
You're saying what's holding it? Yeah, what's the force that's holding it?
Yeah, well, the idea is that mass attracts mass, but if there's no mass, then see what I'm saying? Not to say that there isn't a quantifiable mass, whatever, but like the actual object in question, they're saying that it's just a vibration. It's just a little dot of vibration.
Yeah, I
with
think what he's
nothing
hinting
there.
at as well is the material world isn't as it seems, right? So it's a demiurge's trap.
Well, he's
what
also
seems
saying
so-
that we're
What
hallucinating
seems solid
reality.
is not actually solid.
Yeah. Yeah, he just got done saying we hallucinated reality too. So I wonder where he's going to go next.
And what the electron really is an intersection of these quantum fields. Also, these quantum fields can always exist in two states. The first is as a wave, the second is as a particle. Okay? And we can only know if it's a wave or a particle by observing it. And this is what's called a wave function collapse. In other words, all of nature is vibrational. It's energy. And it's only when we observe it, when we interact with it, that becomes something solid that we can see and measure and touch. Okay? It's called a wave function collapse. Okay? So, this is complicated. So, a physicist named Ernst Schrödinger, he creates a thought experiment called Schrödinger's cat. Okay? You may have heard of it, Schrödinger's cat. And so imagine a box, and inside is a cat. And then the cat, inside the box is also some toxic chemicals that may or may not break. If it breaks, the cat dies. If it doesn't break, the cat's still alive. And what Schrödinger teaches us is that when the box is unopened, we can never know the state of the cat. It's only when we open it can we know it's dead or alive. But before then, it's both dead and alive. Okay? That's simple to understand. But then another physicist introduced a new concept called the friend experiment, or Wigner's friend. And this is more complicated because he says, okay, if you are the experimenter and you open a box, you now know the state of the cat. But what if you're a friend? Okay? You don't see the box. You're outside the laboratory. When the experimenter opens the box, does the wave function collapse? And the answer is, it does not. Okay? It does not.
I guess I've never really understood the Schrodinger's cat thing. Is that like, you know, if a tree falls in the woods kind of thing, or?
Yeah, similar. It's saying that things are subjective because the wave function can collapse. And like they study the math of it, but it is an ideology as well.
Yeah, because but the thing is, you will never open the box. So right now, supposedly those two outcomes is true, but you don't know until you open the box.
I feel like that's special pleading, like begging the question or something. I don't think that makes it true, but I don't know. Maybe I'm missing something.
I feel like it falls in line with the dimensions idea. They're consistent with the idea of dimensions. You've got a state of potentiality before interaction, and then the interaction manifests an outcome.
He's also, this is the first principle, all is mind. So he said before, things come from the mind, right? Now he's saying you could sort of break out of the 3D matrix if you knew how to collapse the wave function, time travel and all.
Not. And what this is telling us is there is no objective reality that exists outside of you. When the experimenter opens the box, the wave function collapses for him, but does not collapse for the observer and for anyone else. We have to open the box ourselves in order to see if the cat is alive or dead. Okay? But what if
I don't actually believe that, but I
this
think it's a
person
great
tells
model.
us?
Right. Yeah, I don't think so either. I think like you can figure out ways to know if the cat's alive or not without opening it. It's kind of like this. It's kind of like begging the quantum question, I guess. Right.
But that's where we are in science. They're sort of bringing back
that
magic.
means we don't know shit.
You're disrespecting the hypothetical. Like
It's
Oh yeah,
highlighting
well,
the
steel
mind.
man it, Don. Go for it.
It's highlighting the mind over material and saying, you know, you're not always trapped by solid things.
no, it's challenging free will and saying, you know, either the time randomly happened or the cat played with the thing. Like you go, oh, I can figure out. It's not part of the hypothetical. Hypothetically, it's a situation that you cannot know.
Okay.
The answer is it still doesn't collapse. We have to participate in the reality ourselves. And what this is saying, okay, this is hard to understand, is that everyone lives in his or her own reality. Everyone has a unique universe onto himself or herself. And that's what quantum mechanics teaches us. Okay? All right. So now let's try to, based on all this, okay, Kant and quantum mechanics, create a theory of reality. Okay? So what's important to understand is that everything are just vibrations. Okay? That's all it is. It's vibrations. Yeah?
But I thought like quantum mechanics can only be applied on quantum, whereas we are a macro creature that is not like.
Yeah, that is correct. But quantum mechanics is the basis of reality, right? Okay. So everything are just vibrations. Now, what happens is that what we need to understand is that if it's vibrations, if it's energy, it's also information. Okay, does that make sense? All right. So what our brains do is, our brains are not independent. Our brains connect to the universe, okay? So as the universe is vibrating, we're receiving information. And then through our experiences, okay, this vibration allows us to turn it into memories. You understand? We're taking this vibrational information, we're taking our experiences, we're combining to memories. Now, this is really important. The memories now go back to the vibrational force. So our memories are connecting to the universe, and they're being stored in the universe. They're being imprinted in the universe. It's an imprint. And this, and of course, is no different from the internet, right?
Right.
On the computer, whatever you write is being stored on the internet. So whatever you do is going to change the internet. And you receive information from the internet, okay? So you're participating in the internet, and you're part of the internet. Okay, and the same thing is happening here. Okay? So everything's vibrational. If it's vibrational, it's information. We take the information and we combine with the experience to turn it into memories. The memories then go back to the universe. And so it's as though we can implant ourselves into the universe. Okay? Now, this is hard to understand. So what we've done is every single culture has turned this knowledge into a story that is easy for people to understand. Okay? So I'm going to tell you the story. And this story, this framework, I'm actually using Dante. Okay? All right, Dante. What does Dante tell us about the universe? Okay, just a monad, the one, God, who knows, okay? But it's a source of everything. Mm-hmm. And so what he does is he vibrates, he emanates, he thinks, he breathes. And this creates vibrational force, right? And this vibrational force creates new forces called dyads. Dyads are pairs. And when the pairs come together and vibrate, they create new things, okay? So this is how creation happens, through vibration, through the combination of different forces, okay? Now, what's important to understand is that as the dimensions go lower, the frequency decreases. So at high, it's really fast, right? It's like, ah! Okay? When it goes low, it becomes low frequency, oh, okay? And eventually, you get a point where matter can be created, okay? So this is spirit, this is matter, and this is the world that we live in. Okay? So now the question then is, why is the universe set up in this way? And it has to do with the fact that the universe, the monad, strives for newness, for imagination, for freshness. The problem, though, is that in the spirit world, everything is perfect. Everything is eternal. Everything is immutable. And so by definition, you can feel no.
Dude, that's wild. So I came to this conclusion myself like just a few weeks ago, that if God is outside of time and God is eternal, then it never changes or something like that. Because eternal would mean that it doesn't experience time, so there would be no variation. So that would be like the essence of purity. And yeah, so.
Well,
anyways.
yeah, real quick.
No pain.
Sorry, go ahead.
I'm just gonna add on, like, if it's purity, like nothing needs to what's the word I was just gonna say, like process, because everything just is and is like it's a fact, you know.
Yeah,
no
like
question.
I just mean like that eternal source. In order for it to be eternal, then it can't experience time. That's kind of
Yeah,
like
that's what
my
I'm saying. It's like,
conclusion there.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like if it was experiencing time, it wouldn't be like eternal. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, you can play it. Go ahead. We're on the same page.
Cool.
You cannot suffer.
Actually, I mean, if anybody wants to get in, feel free to get in. This is like an interactive learning.
I would say without time, there is no concept of eternity or beginning. I mean, that's the
so you're
flux of
assuming
change
time
and
is
motion and
necessary.
everything would go away.
I mean, are you so I guess time is like progression, right?
Yes.
But if God is like, okay, let's imagine God is like what I call mind. It could have like a concrete nature to it, like where it's if it's unchanging and it's like solid in its foundation, then you don't need time because it's just effervescent. It's like it's just keeps going forever the way it is. I don't know.
Yeah, that would be boring, wouldn't it?
Well, that's the thing. That was my idea, is like maybe God created all this other stuff, or like the consequence of God creates all this other stuff so that it can experience time and change and newness. And that's exactly what this guy's saying. And I'd never seen this before. So that's cool.
I look at it like time is like, if you're a creator, you write a story, yeah? You start with the beginning, you write the middle, you have the end, right? But you as the creator, you can look back at your story and you can see the beginning, the middle, and the end. Imagine this, as a imagine now the world is interactive and things can change, but I'd look at it as if something that would be above time would be looking down at us who are bound by time, but they would just see us differently. They would see us as a child, as a 30-year-old, and as a 90-year-old or whatever in one entity. Do you know what I mean? So
Right.
I don't think it's like they don't
Exactly.
experience time, they just experience it differently, but there's no duration needed to get to that old age, to see that
Well,
person in their old age.
well, here's an idea, right? Like, okay, so if there is a God, then God made the laws of physics, then all of these laws of entropy, for example, are known. So if you have a hot coffee, it's going to cool off in X amount of time. You can calculate it. So it's predictable. Okay? It's going to cool off by itself naturally. Now, that could be in essence the predictable part of God, right? How do I say this? Let me think about it. Maybe I can come up with a better way to explain it. I don't want to take up all the time of the show. But yeah.
You cannot make any mistakes. Therefore, you cannot have any new experiences. Therefore, you cannot have any imagination. So we humans exist in order to solve this problem. We humans are corporal, which all it just means is we have bodies, okay? If you have bodies, you get old, you bleed, you get hurt, you fall down, okay? You feel anger, you feel hate. But this allows us to have an imagination. And the imagination allows the universe to grow, to expand, to vibrate. Okay? That's our function. To have experiences that are new, which expands the consciousness of the universe. The universe itself is consciousness. All right. So, for this system to work, there have to be some guiding principles to this universe. The first and most important principle is the principle of free will. Without free will, this system cannot work. If you do what you're supposed to do, you can't have imagination, okay? So you have to disobey. You have to make your own choices. You have to make your own mistakes. And this is what allows the universe to imagine. Okay? But the problem then is, if you have free will, how do you know you're doing good? How do you know you're doing evil? And the answer is the idea of love. Okay? So the monad is the totality of love. We are a part of the monad. Okay? We're a part of the monad. And so there's a spark of the monad in us called love. And so when we do good, we feel good because the love, the spark, is growing in us. And
when he says the spark is growing, well, if God is expressing itself in vibration in this world, then anytime that you are vibrating to the same capacity as the creator, then that would create a harmony, not a harmony, a resonance. So when you put two speakers together that with the same sound, they get louder. So that's kind of like the indicator. It's like when you do something good and you feel good because you did it, is you're aligning with that which is already there, which is the goodness. And so then you feel extra good for it. I don't know. That's just an idea.
You feel aligned.
Yeah, you feel aligned with which is good. Yeah.
It's almost like a magnet, okay? We want to return to the monad. And so we do good because it makes us feel good and allows us to return to the monad. But sometimes, because we live in a world of free will, we make mistakes. Okay? We might hurt someone, or we might traumatize someone. In which case, we feel anger. And then this becomes a vicious cycle, okay? So now there's another system set up to ensure we don't get trapped by our hate. And this system is called death. Okay? In this system, death is release. It prevents us from forever making mistakes. because you could have a terrible life, right? But it's okay because then you go die, you go back into the universe, and now you can observe everything that you did, okay? You can see all the pain you've caused, you can see all the good that you've done. And so you become wiser. And then you come
Riggs,
back
is this,
and you live another life.
can you pause it a
And
sec,
again,
mate?
Yeah.
What philosophy is he talking about here? Is this from Dante's work or is this something else? Because this isn't quantum.
I'm
This is
being
philosophy.
told that he's a Gnostic, and he's talking about the theory of the
beginning.
everything.
Look at the top left corner of the board. It is Dante.
It's
Oh,
Dante.
okay.
He said, I'm setting the framework up off of Dante.
Gotcha. True.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I'd
Sorry,
never
I just
heard of all this
needed that
before,
clarity.
but I'm glad I'm hearing about it now.
you can make the same mistakes over and over, but you can also improve, okay? Now, the other thing to remember about the system is that it's our choice whether to create love or hate. Now, love goes back to the monad. But what happens when you create hate? Well, you need to store it somewhere, so it goes into lower dimensions, okay? Hate. All right? So we create new dimensions through hate, through anger, through fear, through bad emotions that cannot return to the spirit world because the spirit world is perfect. And so this is called hell. And this is called heaven. Okay? And this is how the universe is set up. Okay? So I'm just taking the literal reality and turning it into the metaphorical reality, which becomes the basis of all early religions. Okay? So there are different metaphors that we can use to understand this system. But let's look at one from Hinduism and one from Dante, okay? So
yeah, it sounds like Hinduism.
There's a metaphor that's very.
What's up?
No, I'm not surprised he's gone to Hinduism because what he was describing sounded like Hinduism. That's why I asked, where's this philosophy coming from? Because it sounds like Hindu, Vedic.
I guess now he's going to go into like the contrast and what's different.
Very powerful. And the metaphor is that in the house of the god Indra is one of the most powerful gods of India, there's all these pearls that float, okay? And what do pearls do? They reflect other pearls. And what happens is this, because there's a spark in us, if one of our sparks grows bright, all the other pearls grow bright as well. Okay? So literally, because God is inside of you, because there's a spark inside of you, because you're capable of love, when you do love, you're capable of changing the entire universe. Because your love expands outward, and your love reflects in other people as well. Okay? So Dante uses the idea of mirrors. There's a candle, there's a flame, and we're all mirrors that reflect.
Oh, we're back to Dante.
The candle. Okay? God's the candle, we're just the mirrors. But every one of us, no matter how far we are from God, his flame burns in us. Okay? So you could be far away and you could feel as though God has forgotten you, but there's still the flame inside you. Okay? So for Dante and for our early civilizations, God is love forever, okay? Eternal love. But God is also eternal compassion, eternal forgiveness. God will never forgive you. God will never forget you, okay? He will always forgive you. But you have to believe in God to return to God. You have to live a life of righteousness, of love, of compassion, of imagination.
Anybody who's come in, like, feel free to speak up if there's something interesting. We're trying to get like a reaction video, get everyone's comments in. So don't feel free to speak up. I'll just go ahead and pause it.
If you want to return to God, okay? So that's how the universe is set up. We are here, our divine mission is to expand the consciousness of the universe. And we do that by embracing love and by imagining the world to be a better place. Okay? All right. So now let's go back and ask ourselves this question. If early religion, whether it's Taoism or Hinduism or the Egyptians or the Native Americans, if every early religion all believed this and they all knew this, how did we come to forget or deny this with a material reality? Okay? Remember, the Big Bang, evolution, neuroscience, it's to teach us that there's no God, there's no purpose, it's all just random, it's all just material. So how do we get this to this point? Okay. The answer is very simple, and we'll be discussing this throughout the rest of the semester, okay? The problem is that you have heaven, you have earth, and you have hell, okay? The heaven is spiritual, it's consciousness. Hell, it's mechanical, it's machines. Okay? We're stuck in between. It's always our choice whether to choose heaven or hell because of free will. Okay? And for most of human history, we have chosen heaven. But eventually, you had people who chose hell. And when you have to choose hell, you have access to technology, right? And this technology allows you to conquer and control other people. Okay? But once you control and you conquer and control other people, you have to get them to obey you. If you are enlightened, if you know the truth, you know that none of this matters. We're all gonna die, so why should I listen to you? So in order for me to control you, I need you to fear death. Okay? I need you to forget God, and I need you to fear death. When you die, dying is the worst thing that can happen to you. Because remember, before people understood, death was just a part of the journey. It was a release. It was an opportunity to reset yourself and come back. Now, death is the worst thing that could ever happen to you. Okay? So how do you forget God, and how do you get people to fear death? You use science. Right? And you create theories like the Big Bang, like evolution, like neuroscience, to make people forget the divinity inside.
You just confirmed one of the flat Earth arguments. That heliocentric cosmology causes nihilism and hides God.
Right? Well, I mean, obviously,
Yes,
it's pushing a conclusion which can only go in the direction that is not God, right? Because science can't prove a God, and it doesn't allow for a supernatural phenomena or explanation. So it reserves to say that it doesn't know, even though it could never know. So it doesn't appear to admit openly. It doesn't preface that when you're studying science, it could never know God, and it could never include God in its conclusions. When I think there should be a disclaimer, you know, when someone's performing science, they should be told and educated beforehand that, like, we don't use science to determine or discover a God because, number one, it doesn't prove anything. And second, God is not something that you can manipulate. It's not a variable that you can control. So,
what doesn't prove anything?
Yeah, science. Science, it claims that it doesn't prove things. It also, I know, right? Isn't that funny?
Well, that's just it. In real science, not pseudoscience that he's talking about, in science, you will be proving either your hypothesis or your null hypothesis. So you will be proving one or the other. no matter what.
Unless there's a new hypothesis that is better that comes later. And that's kind of like pushing, it's like, what do they call it? Moving the goalpost, or like pushing the burden or something like that, right? Like they just keep pushing it along when they know that science can never answer for God, but they don't like typically say that right out front because then that would show a bias. But in reality, it is biased. It literally could not, you can't science God because God is not a controlled variable.
Right. Agree.
Yeah.
Right? So that's what science is for. But unfortunately, for these people, that's not enough. Because eventually, we'll all die, right? So the only way around this is by creating a new technology called transhumanism. Okay?
Oh shit,
You may
he's
have heard of
going in.
transhumanism. Again, don't worry about the concept now. We'll discuss
Yeah,
it
he's
later
going,
on the
he's
semester.
digging in.
But transhumanism is to surpass humanity, which basically means to defeat death. To upload you, your brain, to the internet so you're here forever. Okay? To trap you here forever. And so now the question then is, why are they doing this? Why are people in power doing this? Okay, so as we've discussed in this class, throughout human history, it's usually secret societies that have the power. Okay? Why? Okay, well, last class we discussed the idea of bureaucracy, right? Mass bureaucracy.
Oh, Riggs, when did he make this?
And we discussed how.
What's up?
When did
This is
he,
October 15th?
Oh, I see it.
year.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Recent.
Yeah, and he says that he doesn't he says he does this off the dome. Like he just starts talking about stuff off the dome. Like he doesn't have like big long scripted lectures. Like he just, you know, he knows, he has a framework in his head that allows him to recall all these things on the fly and create a lecture. That's wild.
He's like
He's just like, yeah, this, and he's drawing stuff, showing things. Great.
In a mass bureaucracy, bureaucrats don't really want to do anything. They're lazy. Well, guess what? If you're part of a secret society and you're able to coordinate secretly together, you can control the bureaucracy because you're doing stuff.
To control the broccoli.
Oh, the money.
Yeah.
Didn't he say bureaucracy? Bureaucracy.
I thought he said roll up the cigarette joints and then smoke the broccoli. I was like, hey, I'm with this. No, I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
But then the question, but the problem is bureaucracies do not like secret societies. So you have to maintain your secrecy. And how do you do that? You do that through transgression. If you guys are doing bad things together, okay? Now you have blackmail on each other. And therefore, you're committed to keeping each other's secrets. If one of you falls down, everyone falls down together, okay? So now you're committed to maintain the secrets. But the problem is this. The problem is, okay, it's conspiracy, but the moment you're found out, they'll come and arrest you. So how do you work together without actually meeting each other? And the answer is religion. Okay? Or the word we use is eschatology. Religion is just a script, an understanding of the world that allows you to coordinate secretly. Okay? Does all this make sense? Okay. So now these secret societies they are embedded in a mass bureaucracy, and they're manipulating the bureaucracy, and they're working together to commit transgression. They have their own secret religion. Okay? When you combine these three together, what happens is that they're now forced to invert this understanding, inversion. Why? Because they know that they're doing evil in this world. So when they go meet God, God's going to punish them, right?
Right.
So the way to get around this is, well, I will just worship someone who's superior to God, who is Satan, okay? Okay. So what they're going to do is they're going to invert this, okay? By celebrating Satan, they can now justify all their transgressions, right? As a way to empower Satan. Also, there's a fundamental weakness in the system, okay? So let's go over the three main characteristics of the system. The first is unity. Okay? So this entire system is complete and unified. Second is symmetry. Symmetry or polarity. And what this means is that if there's good, there must be evil. If there's ugliness, there must be beauty. Why? Because you cannot have one without the other, okay? One thing is meaningless without the other. That's why if you have God, you must have Satan, okay? And the third principle is as above, so below. And what this means...
Okay, I just heard that the as above, so below came originally from the Emerald Tablet, tablets, and some people are saying that they are not, like they have been like discredited, like they're not real or not real history or something like that. I know Roots, if you're still here, let me see. You might have something to say about that.
Yeah, I'm still here. I mean, people say that the Hermeticism, the Hermetic teachings were not real. Is that what people are saying? Or they weren't genuine? What are they trying to say?
I've heard that the Emerald Tablets are not real history. And I think it was Fundy that said that because people were using it to justify some other part of history. And I think he said he found out that the Emerald Tablet was not a legitimate source, but I don't know.
I mean, yeah, you know me, I like to dig into that sort of thing. I haven't really done much digging into the Emerald Tablets. I take it on face value. The Hermes tablets came from the Egyptian Thoth. So I think the Hermes version is a translation or some sort of reworking of the Egyptian teaching, and I think Thoth was the original. It's supposed to have been the original person to say it, as above, so below, the miracle of one thing, or something like that.
Oh, so it's pushed back even more. But that makes sense that they would be like something that's passed down.
Well, that's what they could mean by it's not genuine or real, because they could actually be highlighting that it's the authorship could be different.
Right.
is that everything is a reflection of each other. So you can never defeat God, but what you can do is corrupt human beings to worship Satan so that Satan becomes everything. Okay? All right. Are you guys following along? Okay? So what you're trying to do is you're trying to invert this world. And how do you invert this world? What you do is, you know that hell is material. And you know that heaven is spiritual, right? What you do is you brainwash people to worship the material world and abandon the spiritual world. You make money, power, technology, science, the greatest things in the world. Okay? You get rid of God, you get rid of religion, you get rid of compassion, you get rid of love. And that's how you control the world. So in other words, what is happening today, is a war between heaven and hell. The people in charge, the secret societies, they are interested. They must make hell into heaven and heaven into hell. They must invert the world in order to maintain their power. Okay? And that's what we'll be focusing on for the rest of the semester. This war between heaven and hell.
Awesome.
How it came about, who are the major players.
I can't wait for the next ones. I haven't seen the
sequel.
whole thing.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So I'm a bit confused about the part where, so the secret society are manipulating their power beyond the rest of the people, and so they are devoting themselves into the power of Satan, right? But my question is, so this God and Satan, they don't interfere to our world, and so these are all just decisions made by the secret society itself.
Yep.
Okay, so in that case, if Satan now goes beyond or has the power that goes beyond God, then God wouldn't do anything to like rebuke or something?
Yeah, okay, great, okay. So first thing to remember is that because of the principle of free will, God and Satan cannot interfere in this world. Okay? Second is we have to remember that there are different secret societies. There are thousands of different secret societies, okay? Well, the secret societies that are able to use all three principles to accumulate power are the most successful, okay? So that's why they're promoting Satan. Then the third question then is, why doesn't God do anything about this? Okay? And the answer is because if you think about it, only in time of complete darkness, only when Satan rules can humans fully shine. Right? Does that make sense? So God has trust in us. God has faith in us. God loves us completely. God believes that someone will stand up and do the right thing. And when that person does the right thing, the universe will shine. Okay? Does that make sense? All right? So only in a time of darkness can the light truly shine.
It's another occult teaching. God rewards courage and action, not necessarily faith.
But like it's more it's I think it's more logical to see it this way, because like for example forgiveness, how is God going to forgive you if you can't forgive yourself? Do you know what I mean? And I'm sure there's other examples where the power of God is limited. It's actually down to you. In that sense, you have to be in a
maybe in
place
this
that can
world.
receive it.
I'm thinking that this world is distinctly different. Like when I brought up like the laws of physics, like the fact that things progress, the fact that things degrade in a very specific amount of time, I think those are like God showing his power in this world because they're definitive. It's like literally why entropy is so important, because something sets that rule into place and into play. Something is maintaining those rules. Something is imparting itself to make that happen. So we're making our own decisions to drop the ball, but God is making the ball drop, kind of thing. So we make the decision, and God is like the effort, like the persistent force, or something like that.
Or just to confuse it all, it's actually all predetermined, and he gave us the illusion of free will, and it's all just a game.
Well, I mean, some people could say that. I just don't. It doesn't reason to me that makes any sense whatsoever. But some people think things.
I personally don't lean towards that, but who was
Just
it?
giving
Miggy makes a very, very, very good argument for predeterminism, and he kind of, I kind of backed off and said, you know what, that's a good point.
Well,
So I've heard really good arguments.
How does one develop? Like, do you not pat yourself on the back for anything that you do?
I mean, like I said, because I don't lean towards it, I haven't really hashed these arguments out, but I've heard good arguments. I can't really regurgitate those arguments because it's not my belief. I don't believe in predeterminism.
So, but is this guy putting all of science and objectivity under the heading of Satan?
I don't know if he characterized it like that.
No,
I think
it's come across that way, but I don't think
the
it
God
means
is
all of
love,
science.
and God is spirit. He made those claims. God is love and God is spirit. In all these different frameworks, these hold true, that God is love, God is spirit, and evil is materialism, which is physical, the opposite of spirit, and the opposite of love. That would be evil. So what if Satan is those things? It would be the opposite of what God is, right? At least that's what he said in the presentation so far.
Well, his first example was technology. He specifically mentioned technology as evil. I don't think he mentioned the whole of science as evil.
Yeah, no. I don't think he did that either. I'm sorry, Don. What did you say?
He's not saying mainstream science is evil, but he's saying lots of other claims.
I think what he said was that science was used as a vehicle to disconnect us from God, and technology specifically is what I think he was focusing on.
Yeah, he did say that. Like the pursuit of knowledge and materialism kind of like is moving us away from spirit and love, I guess. Too much faith in material is what I think it's trying to talk about.
When someone shines that light is reflected in everyone else. So everyone's light shines as well. Okay? So that's the idea here. You can choose to shine if you want, but only if the world becomes really evil and dark and sinful can you have this option. Okay? Yeah, back there?
Like, is there really a God or a Satan, but
there it is.
God for all of it, a God for all of the bad things?
Good question.
Or it's just two worlds, which is one positive, one negative?
Okay, that's a really good question, okay? So what all this is saying is this, okay? In reality, literally everything is just vibrations, all right? How these vibrations work, right? No one knows, but it's all just vibrational. But what we know is we are participants in the universe. So if we all believe God exists, guess what? God exists. We all believe sin exists, sin exists. Okay? That's why this war, it's not over resources, it's over perception.
Yeah.
Understand? This is a war of perception.
That brings us back to the whole topic we had yesterday.
Yep.
Dude, this is like serendipity, synchronicity or something. This video is perfect for today.
Riggs, he's got so many good presentations. If you've never seen him before, watch some of his other ones, dude. He goes in every video.
Yeah, we're going over all of them. Like every day I'm going to try to show one I wake up and typically there's like no one here cuz I'm asleep. So I just start a video and we do a review. So that's kind of how I start my day every day.
If I can get everyone in the world to believe that God is dead and Satan is a true God, I win. Okay, and how do I do that? I can do that by shooting rockets up into space, by putting man on the moon and on Mars.
He goes there.
Can we
So-
just pause, Riggs? Can we just pause,
Yeah.
please? Can we take that
Yeah.
in?
You steal the power of God by owning the sky. And
Uh-oh.
yep, the firmament showeth his handiwork, brothers and sisters.
This is going to get good.
Yeah, I want to hear that again actually.
Yeah, pull it back. That was
Yeah.
awesome.
Shooting rockets up into space by putting man on the moon and on Mars. Okay? Why? Because now I've destroyed the concept of heaven. Before, we've understood that the moon, the Mars were beyond us because they are heavenly, they're spiritual. But once I put man on the moon and on Mars and go beyond, I've proven heaven doesn't exist. I've destroyed God. I can also fake an alien invasion and pretend these aliens are Satan, okay? Okay? All of science, you don't know this, but all of science, it's not about discovering reality, it's about reinventing reality in a way that serves power. That's what science really is. Yeah?
So, is there people who, like, they don't believe in Satan or God, they choose to let others believe in them, like they're making themselves into a god? Does it work? Like, because if you believe God, then God exists. Like if everyone believes in it. So if everyone believes in him or her, does it work to make him into a god or Satan, some kind of?
Okay,
She's an atheist.
that's a good question, and the answer is no. Historically, what's happened is that a charismatic leader has emerged to say that I am God's representative. Okay? Why? Because we believe we're all equal, right? You're no different than I. What makes you God? Well, the answer is because I'm channeling God. Okay, and historically, so look at the early empires, the early kingdoms. What the kings say is that I'm descended from God. God came down, had sex with my mother, and now I'm born. Okay, but that person is not saying I am God itself, but I am born of God. Okay, does that make sense? Okay, all right. So this is the basic framework for what we'll be working with the rest of the semester. Okay? But understand that what's happening today is a war between heaven and hell. If I can convince you that God is dead and Satan is the true God, if I can convince you that the material world is real, the spiritual world is a lie, if I can convince you that death is the worst thing to happen to you, and you should do all you can to live, then hell has won, okay? But what's important to understand is this system is set up so that hell can never win out. And the reason why is the entire cosmos is interconnected. So if we do evil, if we feel pain, if there's too much suffering in the world, the earth itself rebels.
That's natural
Right,
law.
because of vibrational energy. And this leads to things like the Great Flood.
Wow.
Which resets the world and lets humanity renew itself. Okay? So there are all these different fail-safe systems in here to make sure that hell can never triumph. And that's why Elon Musk wants us to go to Mars, okay? All right? But understand, if you just use this concept of heaven and hell, even though it's metaphorical, even though God and Satan are just projections of our imagination, they do help us understand the world better. Okay? Okay. So any questions? Any more questions before we conclude for today?
What did I tell you guys
Great.
yesterday?
Okay, so we'll continue this tomorrow.
What did I tell you guys yesterday?
Friday. Yep. Okay.
Greg, what did I say? What did I say yesterday? Take care of nature, and nature. If you take care and respect nature, nature will take care and respect you.
Yeah.
Literally said.
Yeah, absolutely.
Literally said that yesterday.
And that's
I know
dude,
for a fact.
that's why I think like the original action is so important when talking about like Like, you know, when I brought up like the ends justify the means and stuff like that in the topic yesterday, is because just because like the ends might be justified, it doesn't make the original action good. You know, if you had to kill
Right.
somebody or do something bad in order to get these other results, it doesn't make that bad action good. You know, it's a bigger picture type thing. And I think that if everybody
Right.
just focused on their actions and removed the bad actions, then we wouldn't have to worry so much about the outcome, because the outcomes would come naturally to not doing the bad actions. We wouldn't have to manipulate and torture reality to get outcomes that we like. If we just removed all the bad actions, the outcomes would present themselves naturally.
Right.
So, wow.
Yeah, basically reaping what you sow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
I
Any
really like
final
that.
thoughts on this video?
But why does he say that that's
Was that
why
the end of the
Elon
video?
Musk wants to go to Mars?
Because the Earth's
They
going to
want to own the
rebel.
sky. Yeah.
Was that
No,
the
he's saying
was that the
to
end of the video?
avoid the rebellion of the Earth, because if we carry on the way we are, we're going to get a natural reset.
Gotcha.
Yeah, basically.
Well, I think they could be
Was that the end of
provoking
the
the
video?
natural reset, because Mars is the god of war. And it sounds like the people who are kind of like running this place, they are trying to push reality to its limits. Like they're trying to provoke some kind of like godly response or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Was that the end of the video?
Yes, sir.
Damn it, man. Man, what a fucking suspense fucking builder.
I know. It's great.
Hey, another question is: does that guy teach at an actual university or college or something?
Yeah, he teaches high school in China.
Oh, high school in China.
So he's recording
Okay.
his lectures.
No shit. Man,
Yeah.
that's what they're fucking learning over there, and look what fucking.
I loved it when he said it's a battle between heaven and hell, and we're going to focus on this for the rest of the semester. If my lecturer had said that, I'd have been like, "Oh shit, this is my favorite class."
Right.
Yeah, but that wasn't a lecture in the high school room, though. Why would he be
Yeah.
speaking English?
Yeah, it's a lecture in a high school. It's a real course that he's teaching.
It's an optional one left line after, while they're progressing, they get taught that Western history and philosophy, and the university's accepted him to teach this mad shit in that class.
Well, it
Yeah, I don't think
almost
you could
seems
do this in America.
no. Well, no. I was getting ready to say that it almost seems like he's bringing both sides out to view and letting the consumer decide. Instead of 2 + 2 = 4. This. You know what I mean? No, nobody understands what I'm talking about. Still.
No, we do. Yeah.
No, you're
Good
right.
point.
He's teaching you other people's systems, but not fully saying it's definitely true. So you get to decide.
Right.
Yeah. And that's not how it. That's a good teacher. That's very rare, in my opinion. Most teachers, they just parrot what the book says and hands out a quiz, and if you don't fucking regurgitate, then you know what I mean. You
Dude,
fail.
I'm so excited for the next one and then the next one, like he really kind of like got me pepped up.
He's got
What's your
some
name?
awesome videos where he's predicted the Ukrainian conflict, the Iranian-Israeli conflict. And to be honest, everything he said, if you look at some of his videos from like 6 months ago about World War III and stuff, he uses game theory to make predictions. And man, like some of the stuff that he said, like he's on the money. He's a real big sort of proponent of game theory and understanding human nature. So he really kind of steps outside of the box on all of his videos and talks about it from a, the human condition game theory from that point of view. So I don't think he really, even in that video, he doesn't really push a philosophy. He just looks and dives into human nature and then analyzes, what's happened or what's going to happen based on just the predictability of humans and human nature. But yeah, as you can tell, I'm a big fan of his channel.
Yeah, super fan. I think I've watched like 6 or 7 of his videos so far, and wow, yeah, this one was probably one of my favorite. Yeah, so there's a lot of topics there. I mean, we could pick and choose, or we can pick something else.
I just wanted to comment, and I don't want to go back into the same debate as yesterday, but obviously everyone was talking about morals. I think he made a good case there, which is the case I was trying to make yesterday, that it doesn't need to be, and I don't think it is inherently God that sets the morals. It's nature. Nature itself is kind of, it sets the tone, the hierarchies, and everything falls into its correct position based on the natural order. I think he made a good case for that nature really is the setting of your moral compass, and you're a human being within nature. So you've got, that's the circumstantial part, is that you're a human.
Morals would be considered metaphysical, right?
Right, but they have some bases, right? Like a framework.
Like standard.
A
And that was
metaphysical
the
framework.
argument yesterday. Yeah, the argument
Yeah.
yesterday is who sets that framework. Is it God, or is it personal belief and choice? And I actually think no, it's nature that sets that framework.
Well, he made the case here through Dante that God is love. So if there is a metaphysical framework, it would follow the framework of love. And if that were true, then you would see results like love associated results when aligning with that metaphysical framework.
Yeah, good point. But he also said God was a concept created by humans. Right. So I'm just going on the basis of the tangible, actual, like I believe some way that's provable, that nature sets the polarity of what good and evil is, and many people would say nature is a reflection of God or God's laws. So whether there is a source to nature, yeah, okay, but I believe that's a separate, different argument. You shouldn't skip nature because it's there. It's actually what's guiding us and our habits, etc.
I mean, you think it's separate? I guess it would be separate, huh? Like nature is its own force.
Yeah, like the nature has been. It's an entity to itself. Like I don't believe it's God's as an entity and as a character's words to say right now it's time for the reset. Nature knows, nature knows sort of, or can sense when that's due. It can also sense when you're out of pocket, and other human beings can sense it through their natural instincts.
So once he puts his machine together, it just starts working.
Maybe this is the machine. Maybe this is part of God. Do you know what I mean? Maybe this is the mind of God or the gut of God. I don't know.
I think it's the material of God. God can't
Well,
die.
I'd be curious to know. I would like to find someone who offers a competing presentation. I think this should definitely be followed up with somebody who can steel man the opposing view to in this kind of format. If you guys know of anybody, I could include that in the viewing.
Hmm.
I know a lot of people that will steel man and bias it their own way.
Well, you know what the
Yeah.
opposing view is going to say. You already know what the opposing view. Oh, you talk about evil elites, big conspiracy.
A
You
lot of
know that's
religious
going to be the
dudes on the
opposing view.
Yeah, I
lot,
agree. They're not going to
lot-
steel man it and debate it from a genuine position. They're just going to ridicule and virtue signal.
Yep.
yeah, a lot of the religious dudes.
I feel like Dr. Jiang or Professor Jiang did a good job at somewhat steel manning the opposition. You know, he led off all of his arguments with presenting the most up to date understanding of the like the modern worldview, right? But I would like to hear it from somebody who like goes into depth and maybe can like counter some of these points. That would be a good video. You know, find an atheist or find you know, maybe an atheist would be a good one. Find an atheist that can review this video and then like accentuate on the counter argument.
No such thing as an atheist.
Well,
Well,
somebody
I
who
mean,
identifies. How about that?
pretty much the majority of the world just honored Janus, the Roman god of new beginnings, about a week ago. So they acknowledged a god. The belief or lack of acknowledgement of any god or deity. That's just one. Here in another month, they're gonna worship Cupid. You guys are gonna be told when to love someone, when to buy them chocolate, when to send them flowers, balloons. Probably while they're slaving for the system at work. That way you can really surprise them and And then after that, what's that? March Madness. You got fucking March Madness. Oh fuck. Oh fuck. Let's all prepare for the fucking NCAA bullshit. Fucking who's the better puppet? Once again, who's the better puppet? What's after March? April. April Fools. Ha ha. There's your fucking real New Year, dumbasses, that you guys just fucking honored a fucking false god. Ha ha. April Fools. What's after April? May.
What I think bang on what you're saying. It's ultimately about deception, isn't it? And what really resonated with me, even though I did jump in when Left Lane asked, well, is he saying that all of science is satanic? And I said, no, I don't think he's saying that. But actually, I thinking about it, I can see if he did say it and mean it like that, I can see what he's saying in a way, because science as we know it could be completely deceptive in the sense that it's all based on content that is true, but actually the context has been changed to the point where they've compartmentalized all the sciences. Because if you look at the old world, everything seemed a little bit more connected, just in the way that even language, characters, rather than letters. They really have created a compartmentalization that has changed the context of how we understand the world. So you could argue that although there's a lot of truth in science, obviously, especially real physics, it's still presented in a compartmentalized way that allows for the deception to grow. So I could actually agree with him in the sense that all of science as we know it, as it's been rebranded, since Francis Bacon has basically been a deceptive tool used against us, a satanic tool.
Well, it claims, I think science claims to understand or try to understand nature, but when it focuses entirely on material, then it's not doing that. Because like we have like all these unknowns and we don't know where they come from, like our personality or like where memory is stored, or that, you know, he said the near death experiences are very much an unknown. So if science can't study that, then it's not studying all of nature. It's only studying the material aspects of it. And that's not really, I don't know. At least it wasn't explained that way to me. I used to think that you could maybe perform science, like, you know how they would go into a ghost hotel, like a haunted hotel on like the History Channel or something, and they would go bring all their equipment and say, "Oh, we feel a presence in this room." I used to think you could science that stuff, and maybe some aspects of it might be eluding or interesting, but the formal scientific method, it doesn't do that. It really only utilizes material. And I
Well, I
think
mean,
there's a spiritual aspect to nature as well. So
exactly. I mean, just look at how much that video resonated with us, even when he was talking about quantum and he was getting into dimensions, which is stuff that which is stuff that really what I'm trying to say is, if you watch a standard science video, you're not going to get that type of interpretation, but it doesn't resonate with you as much. Like, there is a spiritual element, in the sense that, I don't want to say spiritual element, but an interconnected element. And I feel like the old world, with alchemy, with Hermeticism, and there's more to it than that. But just even the language, the way we use characters, which every character had a symbol, every symbol had a frequency, every frequency has a color. Then you can talk about things from a different perspective. So I just think, yeah, I don't know. I just think that there's it resonates with us, because I think that's where the deception is. Although they're not lying in science, but he's building on these things that don't really resonate with us, dimensions and quantum, but actually there is some truth in it. It's just the context is wrong, not the content.
Yeah, and science doesn't give the disclaimer. I think that should be, like they've got the warning labels on, food and medicine and stuff. It tells you what the symptoms are. There should be like an atheistic, nihilistic, warning on all the science. Should be a warning label, like Surgeon General's warning. It may turn you into a God-denying like materialist, and you may think you're a speck of dust that has no purpose. Warning, warning.
Warning. This textbook comes with a God complex.
Right? But that would be honest. I think that would be more honest. Like, I'm fine with science, like studying material, but it should make a full and upfront admission and confession that it doesn't understand where and how it comes about, and that ultimately it must be something that's beyond our perception. That would be way more honest, I think.